Hello, and welcome to episode 120 of Bardic Quest. Our heroes have finally defeated the Black Spider, and are considering whether or not to question him, or leave him to his mortal fate, whilst also battling with the questions of what their next moves might be, as well as what might become of their party when they leave the Lost Mine behind. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of Bardic Quest. You watch the blood drain from his face as he suddenly loosens his grip on the staff, which is now in your hands, as he drops and collapses to the ground, face down in the dirt.
Yeah. He just lifts the crossbow like this.
And the darkness dissipates.
And she's panting like this.
Saga, you're back.
I'm back.
Nice. Everyone okay?
Nice shot.
Thank you.
Now, do we want to ask him anything? Because I don't know. He starts to go over to the Black Spider and sort of looking in his eyes and breaks each end of the arrow off and sort of has his fist on it ready to pull it out and heal. We can maybe stop this. Needs to be now or never. I've got a few seconds to stop this.
Wouldn't he just lie?
Aye.
Up to you, bro.
Who's got his staff at the moment?
So,
Me. Oh, okay, fair.
Seeing as the shapeshifter fled, and he takes his hand off the bolt and steps away.
Killed the shapeshifter.
As in, it escaped back. If it was the same one, which I don't really know.
True. I
Well,
felt like the same one.
I think it's too risky to leave him.
We've done it, haven't we?
It feels strange.
How?
Finally found him. Just kind of Johann just walking over to his sort of body. Just kind of looks him up and down. The Black Spider. I was expecting to feel different.
They're always less scary up close.
He's just a man.
And I think he was following us this whole time.
Oh, he was. I don't think he believed our ruse. He was toying with us.
Johann does the respectful thing and goes through his pockets.
I go to get Gundren and help him up to us.
Oh, yes. I'm going to look at the staff a bit more closely.
Okay. So, to get an idea of the staff, Sergei, identifying any magic item does take an hour to identify fully. So if you did want to... I mean, you're very clear that it is indeed magical. It's black. It's got a spider motif kind of carved into the end. Yeah, to fully identify would take you an hour of time to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based it off of what we're doing next, so I'll kind of, yeah.
Righto. Okay. So, Thorik, you kind of help Gundren up, and he's like, he says to you, "Oh, I've got to say, I did not know if I was going to survive that."
You did well.
Thank you.
Got yourself away from him. I was. We're all a bit worried about doing anything rash. Slip of the hand and all.
You don't want to make any mistakes in that regard, and I'm glad you didn't. He says,
Gundren, I don't want to... it's been a little while since we've seen them, but we found your brother alive.
Where is he?
Hurt. He's currently in a room close to the main chamber, where there's a statue of Dumathoin, and near the pit where they were digging. I reckon I could find my way back there, but we've not completely cleared the place. I remember we need to avoid the large room where there are ghouls, and there was a closed room that I heard some undead creatures, but we passed away, fought a yellow thing, and passed there was a pool, and we found the chamber that way. I think that would be the safest route.
So, he's in the depths of the mine still?
Currently, he was hurt, and we didn't really have the resources to fix him there. So we left him in there unlocked, but the black spider was heading this way to you. So I'm confident that he'll be in the same state we left him.
So you think he's safe, at least?
Aye, but I would like to go and get him as soon as possible.
Aye, me too. Well, how fit of a state do you think you are now to go and get him, now at least that the black spider is dealt with?
I'm fit to go in.
Okay, and
we'll get him back on his feet, and we'll get out as soon as we can.
I'll join you too, Thorik.
And I'll turn back to the party and just say, I'm not expecting this to be a long trip. It's a retracer. We've got the map as well now. How well is the map showing essentially what I think in my head is around the sort of main chamber to the entranceway? That should be pretty well. I'm pretty sure that was filled in quite well.
Which chamber is the entranceway?
To the so the entrance. There's only one entrance that we've all come in, including the Black Spider and his cronies.
Yeah.
So they hadn't explored like the right hand side and like all the deep nasty stuff, but they must have explored and mapped out that to the main chamber where.
Oh yes, the map that was found in the temple. You are right. The western side, as it appears on the map, at least, does appear to be fairly well laid out. There's a complex kind of network of tunnels just beyond, which you will have traversed yourselves earlier on.
Mixing that with our own knowledge and knowing where we killed the angry custard.
So yeah, to a degree, that side of the map is of the map the most well laid out part, I would say.
We'll all go together.
I suppose that's the safest option. We're better equipped to look after each other if anything goes wrong. Johann, are you okay with that?
Yep. Just give me a moment, and then I'm just going to quickly roll an investigation check to see if I can find anything important. That's a 27.
Is this rummaging around in his pockets, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot, actually. Some coinage.
Is it Electrum by any chance?
It's not electrum.
I don't want it.
It's not
I
electrum.
don't want it.
But he is carrying 20 gold pieces.
Ooh.
In his
Shall I add that to the fund?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, nah.
And of course, obviously, Sergei has the staff.
Johann just kind of hands on hips, stands over the body, just kind of looks him up and down, and says, "I'll be right with you." Gets his flask of oil out. Zip, 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 zip. Light drizzle. Tinderbox and lights him up.
All right. And as soon as you let that spark hit, his body kind of almost erupts in flame as the oil ignites. The unpleasant smell of burning person starts to fill the cave. As
unpleasant to some.
as flames surround the body of Halfren Loren.
Johann bows his head and recites his little sort of prayer in fire and purity. We are vigilant and the hunt goes on. Right, let's go.
All right. So
Into the thick of it.
you leave the burning corpse of Halfren Loren behind and make your way down back into the depths of Wave Echo Cave as you begin to retrace your steps back through the mines, through the old mine tunnels, and towards the cave where there was that pool of water. Could I get, with advantage, whomever wants to make it, a survival check, please?
Just no.
I feel like Thorik probably the best at survival.
I'm quite surviving.
Go ahead.
With a +6 of survival.
Oh yeah, he's
Take it away.
Lovely. 22.
22. All right. You successfully navigate those old abandoned mining tunnels, emerging out towards the dark pool of water where you had gone into, I believe. I believe you swam into that pool at some point.
Stripped off and went for a swim.
With the staircase leading up towards that tunnel. Using the map, you do manage to navigate your way around to another tunnel, which leads you out not far near from the temple to Dumathoin. A shortcut, so to speak, through a kind of hidden door through some of the walls there, laid out by the dwarves, no doubt, who are excellent with their secret door hidings, which does bring you out near that cavern where you had fought Sildar, and with the temple to the west.
Right.
Which then leads you to the Temple of Dumathoin. No sign, luckily, of any undead creatures which, again, with the help of the map, it seems as though that seemed to be the general consensus in amongst Halfrin Loren and his minions, was that the west side of the mine was fairly free of undead creatures, and it was the eastern side that was to be mostly avoided, if at all possible. Of course, probably not likely to eliminate all chance of encountering these creatures as they, roam around, but seemingly the concentration of undead seemingly on the eastern side. So this leads you back to the Temple of Dumathoin and back towards that side chamber where you had fed and watered young Nundro to keep him safe in the meantime. As you open the door, he is still there. He is still safe. And Gundren and him immediately embrace, share kind of babbles of concern and excitement and, things such as, I was so worried about you, I didn't know if you were going to make it, oh my god, it's been so long, and how long have you been down here, and all of that sort of, that quick kind of excitable catch-up, almost as though they can't believe that each other have survived. Which is a rather touching moment, certainly, as they equally look to you all with words of thanks. And then Gundren kind of looks to you and he says, so, what do you propose we do now? Did you find the forge, by the way?
We did. Yeah.
Moradin's beard. Is it as glorious as it sounds in the legends?
It was like a tiny little campfire.
Thorik's he's kind of done with this whole thing and this whole place. He just says, no.
Underwhelming.
Oh.
You would be wise to stay away from it.
There was some sort of monster. There was a wraith that nearly killed Johann. And it looks like some terrible magical explosion happened long ago. The room is burned. The door is twisted. It seems diminished. The only things we found were what Saga's wearing now and this, and he holds out the mace to the Dwarven brothers, and I don't know whether there is power to salvage from this place. Maybe with a group of people, maybe with that mostly this place is cleared with time and careful precision. It could be completely cleansed, and maybe you could find some new power here, but I'm sorry, it seems, I don't know how to explain it.
Nundro kind of looks incredibly, well, they both do, like they've just had a punch to the gut. And Nundro says to you, he says, so do you think that this has all been for nil?
I suppose that's up to you. Whatever you wish to do with this place is, well, I don't know.
Gundren gives his brother a nudge and he says, I'm sure it will be fine. We can use this thing as a standard mine, I'm sure. Bring it into the family business. I'm sure we can find something to do with the forge. Right? Surely it does something. And he kind of looks at you kind of in the hopes of something positive.
Thorik gives Gundren a really skew look, like... and kind of shakes his head and just says, we'll hope it was worth it, Gundren.
There's still undead in the caverns. Are you sure you want it?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm just... This has been years of work just for us, and never mind everything you've done to help us.
Well, at least we defeated the Black Spider.
Aye.
And the Black Spider is but one individual who learned of the power of the Forge of Spells. Think about that.
There'll be more in the future.
Gundren, Nundrum, I think I'd like to see you safe out of here. And, well, I'll say a word or two for your brother.
Aye. Yes.
And kind of, Thorik sort of turns his back on them, frustrated. It's kind of very seemingly callous discussion of wealth and opportunity when their brother is literally dead outside, it seems. Thorik kind of is probably visibly angry at this exchange and steps out of the room.
Johann follows him.
And under his breath to Johann, following it as always, just like, can you believe it?
The terrible thing is, yes.
My kin have always had bold ambitions and strong senses of ownership with things like this. To me, it's just a pile of twisted metal and cold stone sometimes.
I'm reassured to hear that.
The only wealth in this life, Johann, is that which we give, that which we make. I'm not talking about coin.
I know little about what makes a man rich, what makes him poor. But if it is any consolation, it seems to me that you always knew what was right and what was wrong when it comes to power. It is because of things like the Forge of Spells that my brethren was established, that there are those who can't be trusted.
Do you think they can be?
There was a time when I would have killed them rather than find out. But if you trust them, then I trust your judgment.
I appreciate your words, friend, but I'm certainly no saint, and I'm certainly just muddling along as much as anyone else is. I don't know what fate holds for this place or for them. Good intentions are ill. It's dangerous, but it's not my place to say, and it's their mistake to make, so we've done our part, as far as I'm concerned.
And if anything goes wrong, we'll know where to find them.
Aye. We'll keep an eye and make sure that what happens here is done as best as anyone can, for the right reasons.
And by the flame, I hope we never come back here again.
Aye.
Saga's going to join the two boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do we do now? Do we leave them to their cabin, or do we all go?
They're coming out. They're not staying here. There's nothing for them to do now. They can come back here with a party of other people.
Undead killers?
Well, my services have been completed as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not opening any new contracts. Don't know how you feel about it, but I would quite like to see the back end of this mine.
I guess I'm convicted. I'm done with the mine, but once I leave, I've got my own.
I used to feel comfortable underground, and for the first time in a long time, I cannot wait to see the light of day.
Saga, you're not still on that trip about. You think you're leaving, are you?
If I don't, then we have to come up with a plan against someone who seems pretty invulnerable.
Ah, well. That's our speciality, isn't it?
I can't lose any of you. So.
And we cannot lose you. Johann takes a step forward. And I mean to get my sword back.
First, we get you in better health.
I mean, look who's talking. I mean...
I'm fine.
We all need a belly full of hot food and a mug of ale and to maybe consolidate everything.
Yes.
That would be one.
Before Sergei joins them, he's just going to the two dwarves and go, so, about the reward for defeating everything, conning an eyeball out of existence, you know.
Gundren says to you, well, we can perhaps go over the particulars when we get back into town, maybe. But I believe the agreement was a share in the mine.
But was that the agreement?
Well, again, we can go over the particulars and maybe see if we can settle on something if that's not to your liking.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. It's going to be like this, is it? Yes. Let's go over things and settle it.
Aye, but perhaps not here. Maybe when we're back in town.
Aye.
Over a nice beer.
Da. I do like beer. Sergei's gonna kind of stumble out, just muttering to himself, "Oh God, I hate settlements and agreements and contracts."
Clap Sergei on the shoulder as he comes out and is like, sorry, Sergei. I'm sure we'll get our fair share.
No, don't worry, I've killed many a man fighting over treasure and loot.
This sort of gives him a skew. Right.
Okay.
You've all been here for positively too long.
This is where Sergei draws the line.
All right. So what's your immediate plan?
Go home.
Get out.
Yeah, let's head back. Are the dwarves following us? Sorry, I shouldn't
They
say
are,
dwarves.
yes.
Gundren and Nundro following us.
They are indeed.
I'm dragging them if they're not. You're not staying here. Get out.
Yeah, Nundro has been in this mine for far too long. He's exceptionally keen to get back to town and have some hearty food and a nice beer. So yes, they are very much enthusiastically following.
I would like to fast travel back to Phandelver, please.
Just for a bit of flavour, as they walk out and they're now walking back, all weary, without saying a word and quite discreetly, Saga's gonna go to hold Johann's hand.
Sergei
Yeah.
loves Thorik.
What?
Doesn't question it.
Fine. I'll allow it.
Johann just kind of looks down at it and then looks up at her and then down at it again. And then just kind of tries to like hide under his hood that he is blushing.
Aww.
I don't think he's ever had his hand held before in this sort of way. I suppose I can imagine being like and then he kind of relaxes into it as they walk.
Okay. You make your way then back towards the entrance to the Lost Mine. And you can see down that tunnel that Sergei was so delightfully playing his lute down during the fight with the black spider. You can see there is still daylight outside as you make your way towards that tunnel mouth and out into the hills.
Is the burnt body still there?
The burnt body is still very much there, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe someone can give him a kick on the way out.
Spit in his eyes again.
Just stamp through the crumbling skull, just turn to ash.
And you emerge out onto the hills, the light kind of hitting you quite strongly as you adjust your eyes to the light. Unfortunately, though, as you exit the mine, there is company waiting for you.
No.
Company that you, Saga, are particularly familiar with.
Okay, she quickly lets go of Johann's hand.
Dryle Bonebreaker, your estranged husband,
Yeah.
as well as the woman whom you warned him should not be anywhere near when you returned to him.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of dire wolves just flanking the two of them.
She's going to say, well, if you're not going to hold your end of the bargain, I won't hold mine. Gestures to the woman.
He says, "You are saying that to me as though you have some sort of choice." He kind of looks pointedly towards Johann, and he says, "Your assassin isn't looking so well."
Still strong enough to put you in the ground.
And he kind of laughs and then looks at you and he says, "And how did that go for you last time, runt?"
Seem to remember you ran away with your tail between your legs.
With my sword in your eye.
I still stand by what I said. I won't return humiliated.
He says, "Well, I'm here to make sure that you uphold your end. I wasn't going to give you the opportunity to just get up and leave."
I expected it as much.
Johann takes a side step slightly in front of Saga.
He looks at you and he laughs and looks to the woman stood with him. And he turns back to you and he says, "And what exactly are you going to do?"
I'm gonna kill you first.
He snorts in defiance, and he says, I don't think you're capable of killing anything right now.
Saga's gonna walk out
Mm-hmm.
and go right in front of Dryle and say, oh, I had it. My mind just fucking blanked. Oh,
What a
give me
great
a
time.
second. Ah.
You'll remember it later when he's going, oh, that's what I was going to say.
Worst thing is I had it and my brain went, once again, I'll follow my end of the bargain if she leaves. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So, make your choice.
He turns to her, kind of gives her a nod, and she begins to move away from the group up the hillside.
She's gonna start walking away.
What, towards us or?
No, as in where I presume.
So
The
Saga's
wolves look
following
at
her.
No, she's going. Like, if the woman's going that way, she's going that way, but away from everyone, as in, okay, let's fucking go then. And she's not looking at the party. She's just like, okay.
Saga, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
She very slowly keeps walking. We can't see this, but she's crying.
Saga?
Johann kind of draws his sword and goes to run towards Njal. Njal?
Ryle.
Ryle?
Yeah.
I heard Njal.
Oh my god!
Wonderful.
I just feel like me and Sergei are just like vibrating, just like hands like on the hip with Warhammer, just like
Thorik, what's going on? I don't know these people. Why is Saga leaving? Why is Johann angry?
werewolves, ex-husband, some sort of like wolf pact thing that Saga thinks she has to do something.
Now I'm even more confused.
It's more complicated than that Twilight drama that traveling show saw.
Look,
Has to be with him, but it's just
as Johann is marching towards Njal, Dryle, that is.
on the dials next
Sorry.
to him.
Ryle, got it.
As
Snarl and Jarl.
Saga, as you're kind of marching away with Johann,
It's a very slow walk.
yeah, you can see actually there is a figure in the distance headed towards you. Bearing in mind you are in the middle of these hills, you are not near any sort of civilization,
Okay.
of course. And as this figure gets closer, Dryle kind of notices, you kind of see his kind of curiosity peak. Callum, would you like to describe who they see?
I just wanted to take a quick moment to say a huge, massive thank you to all of our patrons who have brought this show to you today. So a massive thank you from us to you, to Nigel Raggett, Rebecca Hill, James Hamilton, J.R. Belliston, Jason Bradwell, Jason Udall, Chrissy Kirby, Robert Treadwell, and Gary Lloyd. Again, a huge thank you from us for all of your support and making everything that we're doing with this show possible.